how do you pick your username for things like Twitch or character names that stick with you for years? For me, I went through multiple names, the latter few each following a single theme of darkness and despair. Now I like to think that I'm a happy person. I'm currently doing wholesome reviews of video games. A name that has sorrow in it probably isn't what you think of when you think of nice things to say, right? Me neither. But I wasn't planning on doing these videos when I chose this username. What is a username? It's simple, and something you probably shouldn't need an explanation for, because if you're watching this, you probably already got one, or a few that you use. Whether it be for your Apple account, your Xbox gamertag, or Steam username. These are the names we use to define who we are, and to somewhat keep our name secret. But some people like to use their real name. I, for one, am still a bit taken aback whenever I'm called Sorrow. I've used the name for like 10 years, and I've never really thought too much about it. I just go into games, and it's usually not taken. Most games I play involve killing of sorts. Sorrow kind of fits most game types. But when I've heard the name for years now, it very much loses its meaning. Someone called Cakewalk121 probably hears the word cake as their abbreviated name and will disassociate it when they're at the store and they see a cake, or when their family buys a cake, or when someone mentions the word cake. Just now, saying it like 5 times, it doesn't sound right anymore. They probably don't think about it too much as an object because they've used it as something else for so long. Throughout all of the time usernames have been around, there have been trends that have come and gone. The best example is this, XX, this was a stupid trend, XX, that many gamers used in their day. I think I was someone to put letters or numbers on either side, but I felt that I shade I probably wasn't as bad. Turns out it was, but not for the same reason you'd think. A lot of people weren't adding me as a friend. Turns out I sucked at shooters on controllers. B, an uppercase I and a lowercase L look very similar, and it meant that adding me as a friend was more difficult, especially on the stupid Xbox keyboard on the screen that doesn't bloody work. Why is it in alphabetical order and not fucking QWERTY? Getting back to the trends. The X's on either side was pretty common, and defined you as a cool gamer for a while there. Until everyone realized you could just change it, and there were 60XX Pussy Slayer XX variations floating around you in your COD 14. Then came the years of the numbers being a big part of usernames. 420 and 69 were in every username as far as the eye could render. See, it's funny, because it's the weed number. Now, instead of XX Pussy Slayer XX, it was now Pussy Slayer 420, who'd strive to have 69 kills. Impressive, nevertheless, but then everything was 420 or 69 related. Cakewalk 69, 60 cakes walking 9, 4 and 20 blackbirds. The last one is pretty clever, I'll admit. But still, the trends kept coming. And they don't stop coming. Most recently, it has been such things as using your first name and adding something like Ryan is a pancake or Dana likes pies. Which on the off chance that Ryan actually is a pancake, fucking kudos to you for learning how to control your maple syrup and watch this video. I, for one, welcome our new pancake overlords. But putting a global takeover aside, these usernames might be dangerous in the future.
Or is it merely a trick of the light?
That brings us to why we use specific names or themes. Use me, for example. Please. Back in the day, I used Dodd. Now, my name isn't Dorothy. I don't know any Dorothys, and there aren't any Dottinas or Dottingtons around. Why Dodd? Because my brother had a 3-character name, and I wanted to be cool like him. I'd been called Dot growing up, and I thought it was fitting. Now, unlike my brother, who has kept his username forever, I changed quickly. Welcome to the year 2007, where I was super into playing World of Warcraft. Playing in the glory years of the Burning Crusade, I decided I'd roll the Troll Priest. Not the most common race class combination, but I wanted to be a troll, and I wanted to be a priest, so fuck it. Now, I wasn't like any of the other priests. I was getting a spec in Shadow, so I was a Shadow Priest. What does Shadow Priests do? They call upon Shadow monsters to help them. Not only because they were squishy as heck and needed everything they could to help them not die when questing, but also because it's fitting for them. In comes the best name I could think of, Shadecaller. To this day, my brother still calls me Shade, and I will answer to it more frequently than if I hear sorry being called out. This is because I joined a guild and was exclusively referred to as Shade for like 4 or 5 years. We talked through TeamSpeak, yeah, not Venturely, we were poor folk who couldn't afford a vent server, and these Americans would talk and call me Shade. Now, like usual, I stopped playing that character after a while and would move on. A mage called Frostfeather, yeah, original, right? And then came my years of playing Magic the Gathering. We'll get to that. But having these massive creatures called super cool names like Jingataxius and Skitherix sounded so cool. Having a buff orc warrior called Vorinclex, see the similarity? But then came my next one, the name that lasted the shortest amount of time, and have a guess why. Dark Heels. No one really knows about this one because I wasn't really playing with friends that much during this time. It was just me playing as a Dark Healer. That was a lie though. I was playing a Druid, in fact, quite a loving healer. One with nature and such. So why stick with the dark theme? Well, it was cool. Back in the day, dark theme stuff was everywhere. Gothic and emo styles were everything and had been a part of all the media I heard and watched since like 2000 when this banger came out. Moving forward to this. And finally to this. But when you're 6 and you hear these songs and they're amazing, they stick with you. I'm still trying to sing all the parts to bring me to life. Stop trying to tell me it's a duet. 'Cause it's not. But getting back, my life and the media that was around me was very dark and shady themed, so it was cool to do this stuff. Moving on to Sorrowex. Now, imagine it's 2010, a 15-year-old me playing outside because I was told to turn off my computer because I was playing too much, and finding a bit of plastic pipe. Perfect. That's now a sword. I used to pretend I'd be a warrior who was better than everyone else, who had powers to summon dark orbs like Lucario and Super Smash, but you know, not a marsupial. I needed the cool name to be a cool hero. In comes Sorrow. I only recently, like maybe 6 months ago, remember where I first read the word and became attached to it. In Final Fantasy IX, there is a lovely but naive black mage named Vivi who unfortunately had a troubled life and an identity crisis, to say the least. But at the start of the game, before you press play, if you wait long enough, the screen will rotate through images that depict an emotion for that character. Vivi's was Sorrow. I can't tell you why it stuck with me as long as it did, probably because Final Fantasy IX was a bum-ass game when you should play it, but not the remake. You bloody get yourself a PS1 and you play it how it was originally meant to be played. But also, because it was cool at the time. In comes the trend of putting X's on every name you could. I put an X at the end, but I wanted it to sound natural, so chuck an extra E in there, and you've got yourself a 69-point word in Scrabble. I genuinely can't tell you why I haven't changed it. Maybe because I didn't need to. Maybe I got over the phase of having to change up every time I started something new. Or maybe it's because it's not a popular name, and I can always have it. Whichever reason it is, I'm glad I got to this point. Maybe not for the whole wholesomeness I try to show, whether it's on streams or videos, but I guess that just means you can find sorrow in happiness. I also stream over at twitch.tv/Sorrowex. Come and say hi. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.